speaking about sort of the three. I mean, it's literally going to be 4 years this year that we're been going for.
speaking at someone else's event, not your own event.
Oh,
And I think that's
nice.
probably what it is. I think it's something about creating your own event.
Are we live?
Oh, we are live.
I
Are
think
we
we are.
live?
I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. For those who are in the
Session, can anyone
Yeah.
hear us? Tell us, because we don't want to kick off like last time and then find out we've been talking to ourselves for the last 5 minutes.
Miss all the good stuff.
So, and I've also got comments up. So give us a comment if you're listening and if you can hear us. Otherwise, we'll assume that there's an issue of some kind.
yeah, thanks to
Hey.
Yay! Cool. Thanks for joining. Sorry, we've been faffing around. We're getting a bit cocky, thinking we'd be able to link to different LinkedIn profiles. 30 minutes in, we can't. We don't know what's going on. So we're just going to take it and just be glad that we're here on the LEAP channel. So thanks for joining us again. So this is part 2 of how to create a killer marketing plan. We were here 2 weeks ago talking about goal setting, so which company goals to align to, how to set marketing goals that hook in with that. We talked about looking at the competition, and then towards the end we started to talk about segmentation, and it's quite a big juicy topic and we kind of only skimmed it, so we wanted to loop back and go really deep on that today. So that's the plan. There was also some controversial comments made. I don't think Glenn realised this. But
You're lucky I'm here.
So I'm keen to sort of delve into that a little bit, and I posted a poll out yesterday. Actually,
Glenn.
I posted a poll on my LinkedIn yesterday. Just last night, a bit of a last minute thing. Got a bit of input back on who uses personas and who doesn't, and it made me realise actually that it's more controversial than I perhaps first thought. So definitely engage with us. I've been a bit smarter this time. We can see the comments coming through. Going to try and multitask and read at the same time. So do engage. It's not often you get 2 definite gurus in a row, and I'm just thrown in here for good measure.
Stop.
But to introduce again, so Chelsea is marketing director at Levin. They're the parent company of the Storm brands, doing awesome things. And Glenn is VP. You've got the longest job.
You
ever.
do.
I have to take a deep breath for this. VP of Marketing Success and Insights at Meet. And obviously been in the industry for, don't want to make him feel old, but a long time.
As long as you.
Yeah, to be fair, okay, yeah, thinking myself of that one. But I remember back when I was head of marketing at Faden, we were sort of match made between the senior leadership team at Faden, and you were staffing group.
Staff group,
yeah. And introduced that at an event, and then we just sort of kept in touch, didn't we? And now, I don't want to say 16 years. No, it's not that long. 10 years. Something like that.
Yeah.
Ages later, we're still in touch, and here we are. So, personas. To just talk about segmentation briefly, it's how you slice and dice your market, basically. So segmentation at a broad level is your markets, your industries, your job titles and things like that. The personas, does one of you want to delve into?
Chelsea.
Yeah, personas are basically a way of creating a profile that you're talking to within that segment. I think it's giving a personality to someone so that you're talking to a person rather than just blanket shouting out to the whole market. Because I think especially with a lot of the recruitment markets, I'm sure everyone has a big market to talk to, and it's, in my opinion, feel free to argue with this, Glenn. In my opinion, I actually agree with you that their people are the other side of it. It's B2B marketing, there's still a person at the other side of it, and buyer personas for me, for my team, allow us to target them a bit more effectively and talk directly to someone's pain points rather than just generic, this is what we think the whole market cares about, because they don't all care about everything. So yeah.
So it's making it more individual. So
Yeah.
you've got an actual person in mind. So how did you? So give us a quick recap, because you went into. I know we talked about this last time, but you did a lot of work to create those, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
we first of all, I think the first thing that we, if anyone is looking to get into buyer persona work, is you have to look at your own data, number one, and buyer personas need to be based off of something that is ideally your ideal client or your ideal candidate or something like that. It's what are your metrics for success on that? For us, it might have been the fact that they're multi-hire clients, people who buy from us and hire a lot of people. It could be people who sign higher terms. It could be those who are going for more senior job titles or anything like that is just very personal towards your own goals. We took a massive amount of data over the sort of over about a year. Segmented that into basically those things that we spoke about, the people who sign higher terms, the people who sign for more business, who do more business with us. And then we added to that data as much as possible. So rather than it just being, lots of depth, lots of lines on an Excel sheet, it was also quite a lot of columns as well. So were they people who engage with our marketing material? Are they people who are there any other links in terms of their demographics, in terms of their business demographics as well, and things like that? So it took us about 2 months to kind of come up with this project, and then that was just the quantitative stuff. We then took a bunch of those segments and did tons and tons of interviews and really delved into the personality and the pain points for all of these different segments and tried to work out how best to target them in terms of our content and our value add information.
So let's put it to you guys just quickly. Are you fans of personas? Like, have you got them? Just drop us a quick yes. Don't have to go into bags of detail. So
what did you find in your poll? What were your poll results?
So the majority were pro. The ones that said no had actually, one of them that came back had struggled with the sales team in getting the buy-in, because they said like everyone's got these problems and therefore we don't need separate personas, like everyone's kind of the same. And they were sort of struggling with that dynamic of how to come up with them. But yeah, the majority were yes, and I'm seeing yes in the comments. So let's go to Glenn. What are your thoughts on personas?
I think that they are worthwhile if they're done correctly, and I think the way Chelsea kind of spoke about it is key. I think sometimes we're at risk of, as marketers, creating the personas because we feel like we need to as part of a marketing plan. That's what the textbooks say, that's what we've learned, that's what we've been told. But unless you've got the other elements in play, all they are is like, oh, we've just got personas and we're not acting on them with the future tactics when it comes to marketing.
What do you mean by that?
Chelsea said it is the data and the wide, wider segmentation. I'm a massive advocate that marketing should own the CRM. In the majority of recruitment businesses, it's a very, very expensive Rolodex for consultants who search it for names, email addresses, and mail shot and use it to mail shot. And I think calling that out as it is important. I think if marketing can get in there and segment the database into customer groups, into candidate groups, into tagging and categories, which is relevant to marketing and winning business rather than relevant to a consultant just doing a search to find candidates to do a job, which happens in a lot of cases. It becomes a lot more powerful, both from a segmentation and a persona building point of view, but then further down the line when you get into your tactics element, is that your distribution's going to be a hell of a lot better. It's going to be a hell of a lot targeted. Your content's going to be a lot more targeted, and the theory is the results are going to be a lot more measurable and a lot more valuable in that sense.
So do you have personas at me?
No.
So what do you have instead?
In terms of, we focus a little bit more on on the client side, to be honest, and client buckets and the behaviours of clients in terms of their commercial activity, in that sense. So, and then combine that internally with what it looks like in terms of effort from a consultant's point of view, and we try and combine, you know, what we might think is a good client based on commercial activity, revenue, jobs on, etc., and then look at, you know, how much effort does it cost for us to consultants to look at it, and then are they a ideal client or not? And I don't want to kind of put the candidates to one side in that sense, because I do think if you're identifying the pain points and everything of the client side, you're able to speak to the candidates as well. And this is just kind of our approach at Meet when it comes to, you know, a marketing plan and our strategy and what we want to be known for, and there isn't a one size fits all, is that we want to talk to the industry a lot more. We want to talk to the industry and align our values and our purpose with that. And I'm very fortunate in the sense that the candidate acquisition, to a certain degree, doesn't have to be as explicit as it maybe is in some other businesses, because we believe it will just happen. But that's just the approach we take. So we focus a little bit more on segmenting the clients to see opportunities there, and then creating the marketing plan more aligned with values and purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so at theLEAP, what we tend to do is look at the problems we're trying to solve, like the job that the target user is trying to get done. And I know last time we talked about candidates and clients, they can sort of move from one pool to the next. But when it comes to selling services, a job seeker is not looking for a new RPO solution, right? They might in the future, but they're at a different state. They're trying to solve a different problem. They're trying to find a job versus find a new supplier. Yeah. So, like, in terms of the segmentation piece and the persona piece and being more personalized, that's a tricky one. What tools do you use at Me, or are you aware of in the market that can help with that, more of that real-time piece?
Yeah, I think, you know, I'd like to think we're on the journey of being, I don't like to say data-led, because I do put a lot of value on kind of gut feel and listening to people, but at least data-informed, which is via, you know, regular feedback, sentiment analysis, using various survey tools, whether they're integrated with existing CRM or external stuff, just to understand, you know, what people's motivations are, what they're interested in, what their values are, and that is on the client and candidate side. And I think equally, as to something that Chelsea was saying, is actually go out and speak to your customers in inverted commas. And I think, again, marketing should probably lead that and have those conversations, because the royal we don't go into it, you know, with a sales side on it. We don't kind of ask, you know, what's important to you, what do you value, you know, what your pain points at the moment,
and do you want to hire?
Have you got any jobs?
Yeah.
Can you send me an updated CV? Which, you know, that is their job, you know, very broken down. But I think, you know, giving yourself the permission, if you like, to have those conversations and break away from the doing, which we're all guilty of getting stuck on the hamster wheel and churning out social media posts, content, and giving yourself that time and that permission to just step back, or however often you need to do it, is important. And I think it's a lot of it's something that collectively we can struggle with sometimes, as we work in such a fast-paced entrepreneurial industry where, you know, goalposts change every day, and leaderships think that things are the most important thing, and you're getting pulled pillar to post. So just giving yourself that permission and space to take the time to understand your customers and do this kind of planning is really important.
When you went through the process, Chelsea, did you involve consultants in it as well?
Yeah, so we tried to kind of take it from to be as exhaustive about the process as possible. So that did mean having almost like focus groups with consultants to just brainstorm what the small talk is in there before they get into the pitches. What's kind of, what are they asking the clients? Are there any common themes that keep coming up in pushbacks? Because the pushbacks are a big part of our buyer personas. It's what are the common objections for these types of people, because that helps us to not only obviously curate our messaging in terms of our actual service marketing, but also with the way that our business is set up. We've got our consultants who are obviously the 360 recruiters, but we've also got a commercial team who focus on the terms, kind of going down the retained route and things like that, and multi-hire as well. And if we're able to bring them into they kind of sit in the middle of sales and marketing. They're a lot softer in their approach. There are sort of marketing advocates within our sales teams as well, which is really good to have. And it was necessary to have conversations with everyone as well as the clients ourselves to try and bring the full picture together, because absolutely we went into those interviews with those customers being super we just want to pick your brain. But that still means that there's a bit missing where we don't know what they say on a to respond to a pitch, or we don't know what they respond to when we've sent them a feedback that they get from any sort of the actual service that we provide. So yeah, we spoke to everyone in terms of how that worked, and we try to do this. So my team is set up with a lot of generalists that work per brand, and it means that they have a really close relationship with all their commercial teams, and they have weekly catch-ups with those commercial teams, but also on a really quarterly basis. We try and encourage everyone in the marketing team to get on at least like a couple of client calls or sit in the background of pitches and all sorts. So
that's a good idea, like listening into calls rather than, because I was going to say, when you sent your surveys out, how do you frame that when you're like sending a survey to a bunch of clients to get their view?
So I'm not the best person to ask on this one, because we did not have very good response rates, should I say.
You're not going to say, hey, we will creating our marketing personas.
Yeah, exactly. We had a much better uptick of people agreeing to have interviews with us than people actually filling out surveys.
That's
I think.
funny, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when we're dealing with, it depends on who your customer is, I guess. For us, we're dealing with a lot of sort of 50-person startups. And the CEOs and the hiring sort of C-suite there that are doing the hiring rather than an HR team or a talent team are busy. And when they get an email, that's just another email. That was one of our big kind of points with a lot of our marketing. We do some email marketing, but not loads, because it doesn't get opened, because it's just another load of emails that go into their inbox. So yeah, it's all... it's what works for you. I think this is one of the things, like, we can preach all day about what I can tell you all day about what I did, but that was right for my business that I'm in. It completely depends on the type of business that you're working in. If I think about the other business, the recruitment businesses that I've worked at, this approach would not have worked. So
why do you think it wouldn't have worked?
It's because of the different markets we're in. I've worked in sort of a business that was focused on office management and PAs and EAs and things like that, and the relationship we had with hiring managers there was a lot more contract based. So
they wouldn't take the time to
chat. So it would have been more relationship based. So actually we would have got most of our info from our consultants, and because they have those ongoing relationships. Equally in payroll and the other business that I've been at, it's I don't know, it's just they're just different businesses. They're not as I think that buyer persona at the payroll business would have been a complete, like, that would have been so many buyer personas that we'd be looking at, because they're all from different markets. I actually find it really easy to do it in ours, because we do the same they're the same buyer personas across all of the tech market. It's just different percentiles depending on which sector they're in. But I don't know, it's each to their own, I guess. The thing is with this will tell you how well you know your audience, and dig at or not, exactly. Yeah, dig into the data first. I think that's going to be that's number one on all of this.
So do you think there's anything unique about the recruitment industry in terms of how we segment and create personas, like, compared to what we know about other sectors? Or do you think the process is pretty much the same?
I think the process is the same. The thing is we use this, and this does go back to my previous kind of comment is that very internally, when we speak about our audiences, we talk about clients and candidates. Candidates never call themselves, "Oh, I'm a candidate,"
Yeah.
or they genuinely don't. And I think we do. We've all done it. We've all got it on our website. We support our candidates and our clients, and it's like, and who cares? Do candidates and clients care? I'm not really sure. So I think we're unique in that sense. I think it goes back to what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago as well, is the depth that you go into this this process if you do the persona building, and what you're trying to get out of it is completely dependent on you understanding what your business is trying to achieve at that top level. If your business is trying to achieve, like in Chelsea's case, rapid growth that is going to really rely on, high levels of candidate acquisition and jobs for clients and things like that, then of course the questions that you're going to ask and the content, everything that comes back of it is very different compared to, potentially somewhere like Meet, where growth and financial performance and everything like that is important. But certainly last year and this year, the focus is a lot more on really aligning ourselves with the challenges that are happening in the life sciences space, and how we can influence those challenges, whether that be diversity within the space, whether it's promoting more women in the STEM markets and things like that. And when the goal and the objectives is different, then the levels of depth, and that goes all throughout the plan that we'd be talking about, isn't it? It's like, for some businesses, email marketing is going to be something they're going to spend loads of time on planning and how many goes out. And then for other businesses, it'll be like, we want in-person events. We're not going to do any email marketing or social media marketing. So it always seems a little bit of a cop-out to say it depends, but it really does depend. Really does. And I think as marketers, that's why, going back to our first session, is you've got to get yourself into the room with those people who are shaping the vision and the journey for the business, so that you can really understand it. Because otherwise you can do some of the great stuff that Chelsea's obviously done at the various Storm brands, but it's not going to have any impact, and that's only going to leave you feeling deflated. You're not going to see results, and you're probably, being completely honest, you're not going to probably feel as valued within the business. So do take the time to do that.
Right, so I'm just looking at the time. Now's a good time, I reckon, to drop some questions in if you've got any. I'm going to throw one at them while you're thinking. But if you've got any questions, please do pop them in, and I'm going to put them to the panel. So I was thinking about this in terms of segmentation, and we talk about clients. I think my brain always goes to lead gen, so I'm automatically thinking clients more so than candidates. But when it comes to creating personas in the candidate world, is there a risk that its personas aren't supporting the more inclusive direction? Like, how do you make sure you're not excluding people when you're creating personas to target, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have personas on the candidate side at all. Partially because we're not, I think I mentioned it last session, but we are focused on the client side of things in terms of targets and lead gen, demand gen. As a marketing team. Candidate acquisition isn't part of our direct remit right now. We're obviously coming up to 4 years old as a business, so exactly as you say, we were starting from zero when we thought about marketing strategy, buyer personas, all of that side of things, and it is literally like, grow at all costs. Let's see how much market share we can get over the next however many years. It's a very good question. I would err on the side of caution with that side of things, because whereas you do have an ideal client type, I don't think that there is such thing as a ideal candidate, because every single business requires different skills. Every single culture would want different things from a business, the person themselves. There's never just one right person for a job. And if you're going down an ideal candidate type, you're starting to get to the kind of mindset of there's a box that you need to fit in, and I don't think that's right. I think every business, every job that you're given, every opportunity that you're trying to push out there, the vacancies for the roles, you can have 10 people that could be right for that job. If that person then left, they'll hire someone else. There's never just one person right for the job. So candidate by personas probably isn't my bag. It isn't something that I'm going to go down. Not something I'm going to go down.
I think on that candidate side, I think I completely agree. You risk. You know, we all see the I think it's the Ozzy Osbourne and King Charles kind of meme that comes up, that all of their characteristics kind of are the same, but they couldn't be two more different people, though you never know what goes beyond closed doors at Buckingham Palace. But I think with on the candidate side, I think you're much better if you can, and I wouldn't know how to do this, if you wanted to go down that route, is go down a more kind of values purpose led, is what do candidates kind of really
motivate
and value, rather than, you know, a graduate. This is what a graduate looks like, and graduate Gary, or whatever you call your people and stuff like that.
Just to clarify, there's no graduate Gary.
No, there's no grad Gary.
But I think that's the route if you're going down that candidate side, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, there's been no questions, so I'm assuming we're answering them all, which is fab. So just to recap, I think we're all in agreement that personas have a place in your marketing plan, because it does help you choose your channels, and then with that you can create really targeted messaging to appeal to those audiences. In terms of how to create them, there's a couple of ways. So you could run a workshop internally with your sales teams, other employees, get lots of insight from them. That's probably a really good place to start if you've not got a persona mapped out already. Secondly, and this is when you're getting a bit deeper and more involved in it, you could do surveys, you could do interviews, and then capture as much data as you can, because I think at this point you're not necessarily going to know what are the critical data points to look at, and that's going to be the tricky bit. Once you put it all in, it's deciding what's important and what's not. It's equally important to know what to leave out. For example, someone's height isn't going to affect their need to hire. I assume there may be
unless you're hiring for a basketball team.
There's always the exception. So
come on, guys.
You can tell it's Friday.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's equally important to know what to leave out as to what to include, because you don't want to skew anything. But use those, and it's not like one. It may be one persona. One is probably better than none, but more likely sort of 4, 5, 6 different buckets, let's call them. I mean, I think personas get a bit of a bad name from the fun names they're given. But really, that's just, you don't have to give them a personality if you don't want to, but you call them persona 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it doesn't matter. It's the depth in those personas that's going to count. It's going to make your next campaign effective. So next time, we're going to be linking that persona piece with how to actually plan content for these different groups, how you choose your channels. So, you know, for example, regionally, skills, we're going to map out the whole lot and look at, with that, we'll be providing a content plan download as well. So that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. So tune in for that. I'll post the event later today. For this one, we've put a bit of a framework together to help you map out your personas and sort of take you through those steps. So drop me a comment in the comment section, or drop me a message and I'll share that with you. Cool. Thanks for joining us. Hope you got some value from that, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye. Oh, this is the weird bit.
This is the weird bit.
Where we've got to,
I think
we've got to tell him to
Let
stop.
the guy turn it off.
I think he's out there. So
Just talk amongst ourselves.
I managed to drip smoothie on my jeans immediately after picking
I think before we switch off, someone said, "Is this being recorded?"